चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1, Text 2. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Apibratir matim ripa. Apibratir matim ripa. Putrika dharmamashritya. Putrika dharmamashritya. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Apibratir matim ripa. Putrika dharmamashritya. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Apibratir matim ripa. Putrika dharmamashritya. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Apibratir Shatarupa anumoditaha. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Putrika dharmamashritya. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Apibratir matim ripa. Putrika dharmamashritya. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Mataji. Akutim ruchaye pradat. Apibratir matim ripa. Putrika dharmamashritya. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Akutim ruchaye pradad. Api bratir matim ripa. Putrika dharmam ashritya. Shatarupa anumoditaha. Word to word translation, please repeat. Akutim, Akuti, Ruchaye, unto the great sage Ruchi. Pradat, handed over. Api, although. Bratirmatim, daughter having a brother. Nripaha, the king. Putrika, get the resultant son. Dharmam, religious rites. Ashritya, taking shelter. Shatarupa, by the wife of Swayambhuva Manu. Anumoditaha, being sanctioned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Akuti had two brothers, but in spite of her brothers, King Swayambhuva Manu handed her over to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her be returned to Manu as his son. This he did in consultation with his wife, Shatarupa. Purport. Sometimes a sonless person offers his daughter to a husband on the condition that his grandson be returned to him to be adopted as his son and inherit his property. This is called Putrika Dharma, which means that by execution of religious rituals one gets a son, although one is sonless by one's own wife. But here we see extraordinary behavior in Manu, for in spite of his having two sons, he handed over his first daughter to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of his daughter be returned to him as his son. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments in this connection that King Manu knew that the Supreme Personality of Godhead would take birth in the womb of Akuti. Therefore, in spite of having two sons, he wanted the particular son born of Akuti because he was ambitious to have the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear as his son and grandson. Manu is the lawgiver of mankind, and since he personally executed the Putrika Dharma, we may accept that such a system may be adopted by mankind also. Thus, even though one has a son, if one wants to have a particular son from one's daughter, one may give one's daughter in charity on that condition. That is the opinion of Srila Jiva Goswami. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Grim Yatirpatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. I'll read the translation again. Akuti had two brothers, but in spite of her brothers, King Swayambhuva Manu handed her over to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her be returned to Manu as his son. This he did in consultation with his wife, Shatarupa. Chapter title, Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. Swayambhu. Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhu means Lord Brahma. Swayambhuva Manu is one of the 14 Manus. In the day of Lord Brahma, there are 14 Manus altogether. Swayambhuva Manu, Swarochisa Manu, Uttama Manu, Tamasa Manu, Raivata Manu, Chakshusha Manu, Vaivashvata Manu. We are currently in the reign of Vaivashvata. And then there is 7 more. Savarni, Daksha Savarni, Brahma Savarni, Dharma Savarni, Rudra Savarni, Deva Savarni, Indra Savarni Manu. So if you see, in the day of Lord Brahma, it is actually divided into 14 parts. And whenever a Manu takes up the reign, the whole ministry of demigods, the Saptarishis, everyone change. Currently we have 7 Saptarishis. Kashyapa, Atri, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Ata Gautama, Jamadagni, Bharadwaja, Iti, Saptarishya Smrita. So these are the 7 sages that we have now. But when the Manu changes, these 7 sages also change. So here we are specifically discussing about the genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. Manu, first of all, is the direct son of Lord Brahma. He is also one of the 12 Mahajanas. Swayambhu, Narada Shambhu, Kumaro, Kapilo, Manu. He had many illustrious children. First one is Uttanapada. This verse talks about Akuti had 2 brothers. He had 2 sons and 3 daughters. Uttanapada and Priyavrata. And then 3 daughters, Akuti, Prashuti and Devahuti. Uttanapada's son, who is he? Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj is the son of Uttanapada. He himself is a Mahajan. He had a pure devotee, and you will see his descendants, many of them were future Manus as well. Actually his grandsons, many of them were Manus. Uttama Manu, Tamasa Manu, Raivata Manu. 3 of them, they are his grandsons. They are sons of Priyavrata Maharaj. And then he has 3 daughters, Akuti, Prashuti and Devahuti. Devahuti is the history we saw in the previous chapter. And now, the focus is shifting towards the other daughters. Akuti. Even though, normally if you see in Vedic times, the kingship usually is passed as in a seminal line, so to speak, which means there will be a king, king's son would become the next king, his son will become the next king. Materially speaking, this is the lineage that we always see, seminal lineage. But in spiritual line, if you see, it's not based on seminal lineage. When Gopakumar, in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there is one instance, he goes to Swargaloka, and there he sees Indra along with the hordes of demigods worshipping Vamanadev. And then one fine day, Indra just vanishes, he just runs away. Because he has forcibly violated the wife of one of the sages, fearing the curse, he goes into the hiding. And now nobody is there. In the heavenly kingdom, Vamanadev, after consulting with Aditi as well as the other demigods, they nominate Gopakumar to be the next Indra. Normally we may think, Indra has many brothers, right? If Indra is not available, then one of his sons, Jayanta, even his sons are available. There are many other brothers who are available. But then here is the proof that the way how earthly kingdom is ruled is different to how heavenly kingdom is ruled. Here the king is nominated, of course originally from Manu, but then pretty much from that point onwards you will see, from Prajapatis, their descendants will come, each one have their own kingdom, and then it goes. Even if you see how Bhumandala is being divided and ruled, it's in the same principle. Manu was king of the whole Bhumandala, and then one of his sons, we'll see later, Priyavrata Maharaj in 5th canto, he becomes the king. Using his chariot, he divides the whole Bhumandala into 7 islands: Jambudvipa, Lakshadvipa, Shalmalidvipa, Kushadvipa, Kraunchadvipa, Shakadvipa, and Pushkaradvipa. 7 different islands. And then each one he gives it to 7 of his sons. Each son in turn have either 9 sons, 10 sons, like that. So each of the different Dvipa in turn gets divided into Varshas. So that's how we see one single Bhumandala came to be divided into different Dvipas and Varshas. So here we see Akuti, even though she had 2 brothers, which is Uttanapada is one, second is Priyavrata Maharaj. And they already had sons, at least at this point of time, Uttanapad. He had sons, 2 sons, Uttama and Dhruva Maharaj. He had 2 wives, one from each of the wife, he had 1 son each. Still, Swayambhava Manu is greedy to have more sons. And there is a purpose for it. We should not take it as material greed. Prabhupada quoting Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains, what is he doing? He is giving his daughter, it's called Kanika Dana, he is giving the daughter in charity to a sage, Ruchi. What's the condition? Akuti had 2 brothers, but in spite of her brothers, which means Swayambhava Manu had no trouble finding who his next descendant will be. He already had 2 sons, one of them already had 2 more sons, so he had grandsons also. Still, King Swayambhava Manu handed her over to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her be returned to Manu as his son. Prabhupada very beautifully writes, Swayambhava Manu was very greedy spiritually to have both his, because why is first of all Swayambhava Manu asking for the charity back? He is giving charity on the condition, son who is born has to be returned back to me. Because the son he knew is going to be the Supreme Lord himself, as we will see. His name is Yajna. So he wanted son as his, or rather he wanted the Supreme Lord as his grandson. But the same son, by getting in charity, he will also become his own son. Understand? So same personality will be both his son and grandson. So Swayambhava Manu was thinking, I want my son as well as the grandson to be the Supreme Lord. So here, this is how his thought process is, and he is asking for charity, which Prajapati Ruchi, he gladly obliges. Let's take a step back to understand. We come across this word Prajapati many times, right? This is one section we are discussing in Brihad Bhagavatamrita course. There are 14 planetary systems we have. We are in the 7th planetary system, Bhumandala. Above us we have, this is Bhu, Bhuvar, Swarga, Maharjana, Tapasatya. Bhuloka is where we all reside. Above us we have Bhuvarloka. Bhuvarloka is the space between Swargaloka and Bhuloka. It's a dark space called Antariksha. If you go there, there's no light. There is, but it's just like plain dark space. Even though it's dark, who reside in the dark? Ghosts, Brahma Rakshasas. So whenever Brahmanas, they violate the religious principle, the dharmic principle, especially when it comes to following the relative principles, or if they commit suicide, Brahmana, Brahmajanatiti Brahmana, they are supposed to impart the Vedic knowledge to others, but they go to the other extreme thinking, I'll commit suicide so I'll be getting a better body. Normally, that's what Maya does to us. She convinces anyone who commits suicide, she convinces that with this body you have to go through a lot of distress. If you somehow get rid of this, everything will be peaceful, correct? Do you really think people who commit suicide think after they die, the life is going to be worse? No. But that's an illusion. People think once I commit suicide, after that everything will be blissful. Does that make any sense? I keep cooking, look at the logic. I keep cooking, halfway through I realize I screwed it up. What's the solution? Keep screwing up more. Is that the solution? No. You try to fix it. I gave this example before. Once, I was assisting one devotee to cook a cake, marriage cake. Big cake. It's supposed to be a double-decker cake. So we baked first, brought it out, everything was good. Big, tray size. Then the devotee told me, cut it into equal half. I tried. It didn't come out. You perfectly do. There's always this little part that was more and the other one little part was less. Then I put one on top of the other and I was very upset. Prabhuji, you know, especially in a Krishna consciousness, when you start practicing Krishna consciousness, when you do something, you feel like this is it, they're going to kick you out. So I was very scared. I was a one-rounder at that time. Prabhuji, I tried my best to Prabhu, but somehow there's something wrong. It became like this. And he told me, oh, don't worry, material life is about packaging. He took the knife, cut it. Of course, the original size of the cake was supposed to be that big. It just got reduced a little bit. And he packaged it nice. And finally, we got the credit also. So, when things go wrong, Prabhupada says we should keep a cool head. Take a step back, keep a cool head, and then we have to solve the problem. That's why those who commit suicide, they are considered to be an illusion, because they think, they are convinced that if I commit suicide, everything will be blissful. No. Classical cases, there's a whole planet of people who committed suicide, so to speak. So, Bhuvarloka, that's the space. Brahma Rakshasas, if somebody is a Brahmana, they didn't follow the dharmic principles, commit suicide, then as a punishment, they are not given a physical body to reside in, rather they are given a subtle body. This is Bhuvarloka. Going one level up is Swargaloka, that's where Indra rules. Going one level up is Maharloka, Maharjanas Tapasatya. Maharloka, that's the place of Prajapatis. Prajapatis are those personalities, Brahmanas, who are either direct sons or sons of Lord Brahma. They are all Brahmanas. If you go to Maharloka, you see anybody, you can close your eyes and you can say they are all second initiated. Only second initiated devotees are allowed in Maharloka. Everyone is a Brahmana, Maharloka, Janaloka also. When Ardha Pralaya happens during the night of Lord Brahma, when he goes to sleep, at that time the bottom 10 planetary systems get submerged in water. As if that's not enough, Anantasesh also spits fire. That fire goes all the way, just like bushfire effect you get even sitting in North Sydney. The fire goes, burns everything, bottom 10 planetary systems. It's so strong that even 11th planetary system feels the effect. Even though 11th planetary system is still intact, people there, they go as refugees to one level up, which is Janaloka they go. So Maharloka and Janaloka, they are inhabited by Prajapatis. One level up you go, then you come across Tapaloka. Tapaloka is where all Naishtik Brahmacharis live. 4 Kumaras, they are the head. Maharloka, where Prajapatis reside, Bhrigumuni, he is the head. So in Tapaloka, when you go, there are many interesting details that are given in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So in Tapaloka, when you go, you always come across 4 Kumaras. These 4 Kumaras, they are Digambaras, which means they wear direction as their clothing, which means they just walk around naked. Little boys, 5-year-olds. Sanatana Goswami says that not only are these 4 Kumaras young, actually every resident of Tapaloka, they resemble them. Which means you go there, you will only see a whole planet of kids. You go to Maharloka, you will see a whole planet of Brahmanas. You go one level up, Naishtik Brahmacharis. That's how they maintain their youthful nature. Very elevated devotees of the Lord. They spend their whole time sitting, discussing or doing tapasya. Or discuss Krishna Katha, tapasya. That's all they do. This is in Tapaloka. So Gopakumar goes to Tapaloka. As he goes there, he sees many sages seated, discussing. The whole group is being headed or chaired by the 4 Kumaras. And as soon as they finish discussing, everyone go to their own cave, start meditating. And Gopakumar tries to get their attention, nobody even opens their eyes. And seeing his predicament, one sage comes to his aid. His name is Pipalayana. Rings a bell? Rishabhdev in 50th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he gives Nayam Deho Deha Bhajam Nirloke Kashtan Kaman Arhate Vidbhujamye Tapo Divyam Putrakayana Sadvam Shuddhyet Esmat Brahma Saukyam Tu Anantam. Very famous verse. Prabhupada, you will see, it's one of the most often quoted verses of Srila Prabhupada. You will see many times Prabhupada spoke on Prahlad Maharaj. He would quote Prahlad Maharaj everywhere. He would quote Rishabhdev also everywhere. So he had 100 sons. Who's the eldest among them? Bharat Maharaj. It's in his name. The place where we live comes to be known as Bharat Varsha. Before him, it was known as Ajanaba Varsha. So Bharat Maharaj is the eldest one. He had 100 sons. All of them were born Kshatriyas, correct? Normally, isn't that how it works? A son of a Brahmana, usually there will be more of goodness. Of course, Janmana Jayate Shudra, Samskarat Bhavet Vija, Veda Patat Bhavet Vipra, Brahma Janatiti Brahmana. So, somebody who is born, they are born Shudra, but then by training, they will be brought up to the position of a Brahmana. Chances are more for a Brahmana's son to be a Brahmana. So, chances are more for a son of Kshatriya to be Kshatriya, correct? So 100 sons would be usually Kshatriyas. But just like we always quote this example of Vishwamitra, who was born as a Kshatriya but later became a Brahmana, or Parashuram, who was born as the son of Jamadagni and Renuka as a Brahmana, but then later on he picked up weapon and became a Kshatriya. We have examples, not only one example, there are many examples, close to 90 examples of the son of Rishabhdev born in a certain Varna but then moved to other Varna. So of the 100 sons of Rishabhdev, 10 of them, they remained Kshatriyas. Eldest of them is Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj ruled for not 1, not 2, 10 million years. So 10 of them were Kshatriyas, 81 of them became Brahmanas. And they were very expert in recitation of the Vedic mantras. Remaining 9 of them, 81 plus 10, 91, there's 9 more. Remaining 9 of them, they became Paramahamsas, straight became sannyasis. And they are known as Navayogendras. Of the 9 sons, you will come across many of them in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. They visit Maharaj Nimi and they give a lot of instructions. One section where you can see, just like we recently discussed about Kapilada's instructions to Mother Devahuti about the nuances of bhakti, power of bhakti, you can read that section in the 11th canto, instructions of Navayogendras to Maharaj Nimi about how bhakti, it helps us. Swapada Mulam Bhajata Priyasya, Triptonya Bhavasya, Hari Paresha, Vikarma Echot Katitam Katanchit, Dunoti Karvam, Hridi Sanivista, Dunoti Sarvam Hridi Sanivista. Sorry. They say this is their final instruction actually. When Supreme Lord, when somebody takes shelter of the Supreme Lord seated in one's heart, as soon as any seed of sinful thought even sprouts little bit, Supreme Lord seated inside, he immediately will burn all those seeds into ashes. So he says, so take shelter. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam, those instructions are given by Navayogendras only, will come across. Garbhajana Rishi. Pipalayana is the middle brother, or the 5th of the Navayogendras. When Gopakumar meets him, he gives a lot of instructions. One instruction he says about the quality of Krishna Prema. He says there are 7 characteristics of Krishna Prema. First characteristic he says, Ashesha Sadhaneka Sadhana. There are many paths. There is path of karma, path of jnana, path of yoga. Ashesha Sadhaneka Sadhana means, Ashesha means all, Sadhaneka Sadhana means this is the goal of all the other disciplines. Somebody who takes up karma or jnana or yoga, they may not pursue it directly, but eventually this is their goal. This is what they are aiming for. What is it? Prema. So this is so elevated that this is the ultimate goal of everyone. Then he says the second quality is Samasta Artha Adhika Adhikaha. Samasta means everything, All. Like Samaveta. All assembled devotees. Samasta Artha. Artha means that which has value. Samasta Artha Adhika Adhikaha means this is the topmost achievement. All of us, we set some goals in life. Sages, they set goals. Rishis, they set goals. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Karmis, Yogis, everyone, they set goals. What is the topmost achievement? Topmost achievement, he says, is when one attains Krishna Prema. Okay, it rhymes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting, Tattvavadis in Udupi, where he tells them the ultimate goal of life is Krishna Prema, and the means to attain that goal of life is devotional service. So here he says the second quality is, this is the topmost achievement. This is so worthy. Samasta Artha means anything, if you think about having a value, Adhika Adhikaha, this has the highest value. So this is worth for us putting everything in line to attain it. So this is the second quality he says. Third quality he says is Yo Vashikarane. Vashikarane means this is one thing which will bring the Supreme Lord under control. Evam Sandarshita Hiyanga Harinam Britya Vashyata. Shukadeva Goswami says, this is in 10th canto, he says that this world is ruled by great demigods like Indra, Shiva, Brahma, and they are all controlled by Krishna. But that Krishna is controlled by the love of his devotees. He says like that. Evam sandarshita hyenga harina vritya vashyata. Ya vashenapi krishnena yasyedam sa ishvaram vashet. So this is something which will bring the Supreme Lord under one's control. This is the third quality. Fourth quality, he says, tas prasadeka labhya. When I read that, I felt very happy. Bhakti is something which we can never achieve on our own. Tad prasadeka labhya. It can be gained only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Bhakti is something which they have to avoid. We can't go and claim it. It's not possible. It can come through the spiritual master. It can come only through the spiritual master. When Krishna picks up the flute, he knows the names of all 900,000 cows. Still, Krishna won't call them directly. How would Krishna call them? Playing his flute. He has a different note for each one of them. One Acharya comments, reason why Krishna picks up the flute and calls the cows by playing on the flute is, he says Krishna likes the flute because here flute is the Acharya. For any living entity to go to Krishna, Krishna doesn't want to give the mercy directly. It will always go through the Acharya. How is the flute Acharya? Flute, if you look at it, it's hollow, correct? What did Prabhupada say as his qualification? When people asked, Swamiji, so many people wrote Bhagavad Gita before, so many people tried preaching Krishna consciousness before, nobody was successful. What's the secret of your success? Prabhupada says, my only credit is, I just repeated what my guru said and I didn't add or anything. You look at flute, it won't add or subtract anything. Whatever you blow, that's all that comes out. So Krishna's mercy comes. Tat prasadeka labhya. Labhya is you gain, you achieve. Krishna's love reaches us only through Guru. Fifth quality, Tad Bhaktaika Mahanidhi. Devotees have lot of things. We have our own bead bag, which is our most valuable treasure. Our devotional clothing, books. So many devotional paraphernalia we keep as very, very dear. Tad Bhaktaika Mahanidhi. He says, but the topmost treasure of the devotees is prema only. Because everything else we possess, we have to leave it at one point of time. Unless we are somebody of the caliber of Tukaram Maharaj. You know how he went back to Godhead? Prabhupada says those who are in the liberated state, they will go back to the spiritual world in the self-same body. And Prabhupada gives example. Subhadra Maharani, she went to the spiritual world in the same body. Pandavas, they went to the spiritual world in the same body. Draupadi, she went to the spiritual world with the same body. Tukaram Maharaj, he says to his disciples, alright, I'm going to Vaikuntha. How many of you are coming? Some took it seriously. Actually, everyone took it seriously. Few didn't take it seriously. Then he says, alright, let's just go. He comes out, just like you'll have car waiting, Garuda was waiting for him. He gets on board, whoever caught hold of his feet, and whoever caught hold of the disciple's feet, and then another one catches hold of the disciple. Everyone just went like that. And after he goes, he tells the Supreme Lord, my Lord, please do something to reinforce bhakti, that I indeed received your mercy, so others will feel inspired to take up. Then Krishna says, no problem. He sends Garuda back, picks up his veena and goes back again. Unless you are of that caliber, you can't even carry your bead bag to your next life. Tad bhaktaika mahanidhihi, the topmost treasure of devotees is Krishna Prema. Sixth quality, he says, Vichitra Paramananda Madhurya Bara Puritaha. Vichitra means very rare. Paramananda, the bliss which devotees feel after attaining Krishna Prema, it is so variegated, so intense, that there is no comparison to it. Vichitra Paramananda Madhurya, not only the bliss but also the sweetness, the happiness which devotees feel. And finally he says, Maha Nirvakya Mahatmya. Sometimes we are told to write offerings for our Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, correct? And you always either open the computer, take the notebook, you don't know where to start. Mostly devotees would start, I'm not qualified, I don't know where to start. The glory of Krishna Prema is such that Maha Nirvakya Mahatmya. What is its glory? Its glory is, it can never be expressed. That's the glory. He says like that. It is, the glory is so infinite that nobody can even express its glory. This is Krishna Prema. So when devotees have this, in this case we see example of Swayambhu Manu. He has already done tremendous amount of service. Prabhupada writes in 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that the first and foremost duty of Manu is to re-establish the principles of religion in case if he finds them missing. And you will see them. Evam parampara pratam imam rajarishyo viduhu. So he is the Rajarishi. His primary duty is to establish the religious principles everywhere. And here Prabhupada says, because Manu has done this, we all can also follow this. Manusmriti, it gives. Usually we ask about why should we not take onion and garlic. There is a reference in Manusmriti, so we can follow it. You can close our eyes and show people this is where the reference is. So service to the Supreme Lord, here we see Manu is still eager to do more. So this is one lesson also we can learn from Manu, that we should never think we have done enough for Krishna. Because we see only Vatsalya of devotees. We always hear Vatsalya of devotees. Ata eva sarva pujya parama devata sarva palika sarva jagatera mata. This is a verse which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he writes to glorify about the supreme position of Srimati Radharani. Ata eva means therefore. Ata eva sarva pujya. Therefore, Srimati Radharani is worthy of all the exalted worship. Why? Because Atta Eva Sarva Puja Parama Devata. She is the supreme goddess. Sarva Palika. She is the protectress of every living entity. Jagatera Mata. She is our eternal mother. If you go to South India, to Tirupati, there is a famous song which they sing early in the morning. It's called Suprabhatam. How many of you have heard that? Rendition by M.S. Subbulakshmi. That's our Govinda Purusham. If you are born in South India, this is what you wake up hearing. If you get a chance, you can hear. Very beautiful rendition. Suprabhatam has got 4 parts in it. So this is a song that is sung to wake up the Lord. There's Venkatesha Suprabhatam, which means literally saying good morning. There's Venkatesha Stotram, which means song which is sung to praise the Lord. There's Venkatesha Prapatti. This is the section of the song where you offer prayers, putting yourself in the mood of a submissive servant. Prapatti is to surrender or to submit. And then the final one, which is interesting, is called Venkatesha Mangala Shashanam. This section is sung for the well-being of all the living entities as well as that of Lord Venkateshwara. Again, whoever wrote, they wrote in the mood of Vatsalya. But then if you read the poem, it's imbued with so much deep meaning. Kaushalya Supraja Ramapurva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narashardula. Who knows that? Kartavyam Devamanikam. Continue. Uttishta Govinda Uttishta Garudadvaja Uttishta Kamala Kanta Kartavyam Mangalam Kuru Mada Samasta Jagatam Madhu Kaitabare Vaksho Viharini Manohara Divya Murte Sri Swamini Srita Jana Priyadana Shile Sri Venkatesha Daite Tava Suprabhatam Aravinda Lochane. How does it go? Tava Suprabhatam Aravinda Lochane Bhavatu Prasanna Mukha Chandra Mandale. It goes like that. Vidishankarendra Vanita Virarchite Vrishashailanata Daite Dayanite. It goes like that. Mata Samasta Jagatam. Samasta means what? All. Mata Samasta Jagatam Madhukaitabare. First 2 verses, they are sung to glorify Supreme Lord. Kaushalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate. My Lord, the sun is rising. Oh dear son of Mother Kaushalya, please get up. Good morning to you. Kaushalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate. Uttishta Narashardula. Narashardula means, oh lion among men. Kartavyam Devamanikam. Please get up so we can do our religious duties. Uttishta Govinda Uttishta Garudadvaja. We wake up Gopinath also singing Uttishta song in the morning. Similar. Garudadvaja. Even Garuda is actually waiting for you. Uttishta Kamala Kanta Trilokyam Mangalam Guru. Uttishta Kamala Kanta. Oh, one who is dear to Goddess Lakshmi, please wake up. And when you wake up, there is auspiciousness. Where? Trilokyam in all the 3 worlds. Mangalam means auspiciousness. Trilokyam Mangalam Guru. So first 2 songs are sung to wake up Lord Venkateshwara. Next 2 verses are for Goddess Lakshmi. Mata Samasta Jagatam Madhukaitabare means, oh Mata Samasta Jagatam. Matas is mother. Samasta means everyone. Samasta Jagatam means, oh mother of all the living entities in the entire universe. That's what it means. Mata Samasta Jagatam Madhukaitabare Vaksho Viharini Manohara Divya Murte. Oh Goddess Lakshmi, she who resides in the heart of the Supreme Lord. Sri Swamini Srita Jana Priya Dana Shile. Oh, one who has the most munificent. Munificent means merciful to the ultimate degree, to the infinite degree. So normally we talk about Vatsalya Bhav of devotees But Krishna always, he says, Yayatamam prapadente. Krishna is also reciprocating with the same motherly love but to an infinite degree. In fact, he has a whole personality for that. His divine consort. Prabhupada would always say, whenever we go worship Krishna, we have to go through Srimati Radharani. There are pastimes where if somebody says, no Krishna, I'm not happy with you, I'm going to Bharshana, Krishna would say, no, please don't go, I will fix the problem. Prabhupada says, Krishna is like a puppet in the hands of the gopis. Prabhupada specifically says that in context of Pushabhishek. Krishna would just be there and he would let the gopis decorate him, whichever way. Some places they would decorate him as a girl. Some places they would decorate him with all the flowers and Krishna would just be a puppet. And they clap, Krishna also will clap and dance. So this is Supreme Lord, personification of bliss. When you look at Mother Yashoda hugging baby Krishna, can you imagine what experience Mother Yashoda must be feeling? I asked one devotee, Prabhu, what would you do if your mind comes as a person in front of you? He says, I'll beat the hell out of him. Personification of bliss. That's Krishna. Same Krishna. When we do deity worship, same Krishna, he is awaiting. Prabhupada said, normally when we leave this body, we go to Bhu Vrindavan, one other place where Krishna is performing pastimes. That's our induction period. And we go there and you get trained in whatever our Swarupa is. And Prabhupada said, after that, then you go to Golok Vrindavan. But Prabhupada in one place saying, but there is one exception, Pujaris. Because they are directly dealing with the Supreme Lord already, when they leave the body, they will go directly to the Supreme Lord. You can feel the same bliss when you do deity worship. You can feel the same bliss when you do Harinam, if our consciousness is like that. This is also one instruction Tripala and Rishi tells to Gopakumar. When we come in front of the Lord, what is it that is taking darshan of the Lord? Is it our eye or is it our mind? To make you think, I'll give an analogy which Tripala and Rishi gives. He says, let's say if your mind is disturbed, you bring the most beautiful sense object. Could be beautiful, could be the most delicious, for whatever sense. Let's say when your mind is disturbed, if somebody brings, your most favorite dish right in front of you, do you think you'll be able to taste it? You won't be interested, right? Because mind is disturbed, it won't even let the sense to engage with the sense object. Tripala and Rishi uses this logic to say converse is also true. Which means, if you are relishing something, it's not the sense which is relishing, it is the mind which is the king of all the senses, which is making the sense engage with the sense object, so it's the mind which is the enjoyer. Now coming back to taking darshan, he says, when you come in front of the Lord, how much can your eyes see? Especially if your mind is disturbed. But he says, on the other hand, how will you ever feel separation from the Lord if your mind is at peace, meditating on the Lord? Remember the dish example. If today is your birthday, and a sweet dish comes right in front of you, you feel you are the center of the universe, right? At least I used to on your birthdays, long ago. And then you do. You can enjoy, because there is no reason to worry and you think like, yes, I can enjoy. On the other hand, if you fail an exam, how many of you have realization? I have lots. I live in a joint family. Whenever I fail, you can understand my predicament. Each one will scold, uncle, aunt, this, So, Our mind, if it is peaceful, we can relish anything. If our mind is disturbed, we can have the best possible situation. We can't. Mukunda Datta says the same example. He says, my Lord, Putana saw you. Kamsa saw you. Yashoda Maharani also saw you. Same personality is evoking bliss in the heart of someone. Same personality is evoking fear and hatred in the heart of someone else. That's the beauty of Krishna. He won't do multiple tasks to take care of everyone. He'll do one single task, but everyone will get the message loud and clear. So when we come, Prabhupada says, quoting his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when we do devotional service, we should not be too eager to see the Lord. Rather, we should do our service in such a way that Supreme Lord will be eager to see us. That's what's needed. And if our mind is not peaceful, we can't even take darshan of the Lord, let alone relishing the emotions of bhakti. Which goes to show how important it is for us to have good relationships with each other. How important it is for us to be submissive to each other. Because unless our mind, if you carefully observe, our mind, let's say externally sometimes you are very passionate and you think like, yeah, I'm having everything under control. You observe your mind. You will actually understand you are not in control. On the other hand, you look at the situation when you just humbly take and be grateful for whatever that is given to you. Have that feeling of gratitude. You will actually feel this is a much empowered position to be in. Radhanath Maharaj gives the example of Hanuman. Thinking about Hanuman, Prabhupada says actually in one place, all personalities or all places are also personalities, like planetary system, personalities like Saptarishi. Likewise, Prabhupada says, even hills, Govardhan, Himalaya, they are also personalities. Prabhupada is saying in one place, what to speak of hill? Even a country like Lanka, that's also a personality. And Prabhupada says when Hanuman goes to Lanka, Lankini came, she is the personality of she is the personality. So Prabhupada says there. So Hanuman, if you see, he perfectly balanced both. He had humility, extreme humility. But then rather than that humility putting him in a position of weakness, it actually put him in the greatest position of empowerment, correct? In fact, according to many acharyas, Hanuman is the hero of Ramayana, not even Lord Ram. Devotee of Lord Ram is the hero. So, worshipping Krishna, first of all, on a more subtle level, you will see Krishna is never alone, Krishna is with everyone. On an even more subtle level, worshipping Krishna doesn't involve just whatever little emotion we have for Krishna. That's just a starting point. But what should expand from that point is to be able to appreciate everything in relation to Krishna. Everything that Krishna loves, we should learn to love. Everyone who Krishna learns to love, or Krishna loves everyone, we also should learn to love. That is complete worship. I'll stop here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai, Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Sri Sri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.